Chapter 4, Sai Baba's First Advent in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints, Shirdi, a holy thought, personality of Sai Baba, dictum of Gauli Bua, appearance of Vital, Kshir Sagar story, Das Ganu's bath in Prayag, immaculate conception of Sai Baba and his first advent in Shirdi, Three Vadas. In the last chapter, I described the circumstances which led me to write SaiSatcharita. Let me now describe the first advent of Sai Baba in Shirdi. Mission of the Saints. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that whenever there is a decay of dharma and a ascendancy of unrighteousness, I manifest myself, and for the protection of the virtuous, the destruction of the vicious, and for the establishment of righteousness, I manifest myself in age after age. This is the mission of Lord and the sages and saints who are his representatives and who appear here at proper times, help in their own way to fulfill that mission. For instance, when the twice born, that is the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, and the Vaishyas, neglect their duties, and when the Shudras try to usurp the rights of the higher classes, when spiritual preceptors are not respected but humiliated, when nobody cares for religious instructions, when everybody thinks himself very learned, when people begin to partake of forbidden foods and intoxicating drinks, when under the cloak of religion people indulge in malpractices, when people belonging to different sects fight among themselves, when Brahmins fail to do Sandhya adoration and the Orthodox their religious practices, when yogis neglect their meditation, when people begin to think that wealth, progeny, wife are their sole concern, and thus turn away from the true path of salvation, then do saints appear and try to set matters right by their words and action. They serve us as beacon lights and show us the right path and the right way for us to follow. In this way, many saints, Nivitri, Gyanadev, Muktabhai, Namdev, Gora, Gonai, Eknath, Tukaram, Narahari, Narsi Bhai, Sajan Kasai, Savata, Ramdas, and various others did appear at various times to show the right path to the people, and so presently came Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi. Shirdi, a holy thought. The banks of the Godavari River in the Ahmedabad district are very fortunate, for they gave birth and refuge to many a saint, prominent among them being Jnaneshwar. Shirdi also fall in the Kopargaon taluk of Ahmedabad district. After crossing the Godavari river at Kopargaon, one gets the way to Shirdi. When you go 3 course, that is 9 miles, you come to Nimagaon, from where Shirdi is visible. Shirdi is as famous and well known as other holy places like Gangapur, Narasimhawadi, Audambar on the banks of Krishna river. As the devotee, Damaji flushed in and blessed Mangalvetha, as Samartha Ramdas at Sajjangad, as Sri Narasimha Saraswati at Saraswati Wadi, so Sainath flourished at Shirdi and blessed it. Personality of Sai Baba. It is on account of Sai Baba that Shirdi grew into importance. Let us see what sort of a personage Sai Baba was. He conquered this samsar, worldly existence, which is very difficult and hard to cross. Peace or mental calm was his ornament, and he was the repository of wisdom. He was the home of Vaishnava devotees, most liberal among liberals, the quintessence of all essence. He had no love for perishable things and was always engrossed in self realization, which was his sole concern. He felt no pleasure in the things of this world or of the world beyond. His antarang, that is heart, was as clear as the mirror, and his speech always rained nectar. The rich or poor people were the same to him. He did not know or care for honor or dishonor. He was the Lord of all beings. He spoke freely and mixed with all people. So the actings and dances of Nauch girls and head gudgel songs. Still, he swerved not an inch from samadhi, mental equilibrium. The name of Allah was always on his lips. While the world awoke, he slept, and while the world slept, he was vigilant. His abdomen inside was as calm as the deep sea. His ashram could not be determined, nor his actions could be definitely determined. And though he sat, lived in one place, he knew all the transactions of the world. His daba was imposing. He told daily hundreds of stories. Still he shrank not an inch from his vow of silence. He always leaned against the wall in the masjid or walked morning, noon, and evening towards Lendi and Chowdi. Still he at all times abided in the self. Though a Siddha, he acted like a Sathaga. He was meek, humble, and egoless. He pleased all. Such was Sai Baba, and as the soil of Shirdi was trodden by Sai Baba's feet, it attained extraordinary importance. As Jnaneshwar elevated Alanti, Eknath did to Paitan, so Sai Baba raised Shirdi. Blessed are the grass leaves and stones of Shirdi, for they could easily kiss the holy feet of Sai Baba and take their dust on their head. Shirdi became to us devotees another Pantharpur, Jagannath, Dwaraka, Banaras, and Rameshwar, Badri Kedar, Nasik, Trembakeshwar, Ujjain, and Mahakaleshwar or Mahabaleshwar Gokarn. Contact of Sai Baba in Shirdi was like our Veda and Tantra. It quieted our samsara, world consciousness, and rendered self realization easy. The darshana of Sri Sai was our yoga sadhana, and talk with him, the holy water of his feet destroyed our desires. To us, his commands were Vedas, and accepting his Udi and Prasad was all purifying. He was our Sri Krishna and Sri Rama who gave us solace, and he was our Paramabrahma, absolute reality. He was himself beyond the pair of Dvantas, opposites, never dejected nor elated. He was always engrossed in his self as existence, knowledge, and bliss. Shirdi was his center, but his field of action extended far wide to Punjab, Calcutta, North India, Gujarat, Dhaka, now in Bangladesh, and Kongan. Thus, the fame of Sai Baba spread far and wide, and people from all parts came to take his darshana and be blessed. By mere darshan, minds of people, whether pure or impure, would become at once quiet. They got here the same sort of unparalleled joy that devotees get at Pandharpur by seeing Vittal Rakhumai. This is not an exaggeration. Consider what a devotee says in this respect. Dictum of Gauli Bua. An old devotee by name Gauli Bua, aged about 95 years, was a Varkari of Panthari. He stayed 8 months at Pantharpur and 4 months Ashadha to Kartik, July to November, on the banks of the Ganges. He had an ass with him for carrying his luggage and a disciple as his companion. Every year he made his worry or trip to Pandharpur and came to Shirdi to see Sai Baba, whom he loved most. He used to stare at Baba and say, "This is Panthrinath Vittal incarnate, the merciful Lord of the poor and helpless." This Gauli Bhua was an old devotee of Vitoba and had made many a trip to Panthari, and he testified that Sai Baba was real Panthrinath. Vidal himself appeared. Sai Baba was very fond of remembering and singing God's name. He always uttered Allah Malik, God is Lord, and in his presence made others sing God's name continuously, day and night, for 7 days. This is called Namasaptaha. Once he asked Das Ganu Maharaj to do the Namasaptaha. He replied that he would do it provided he was assured that Vittal would appear at the end of the seventh day. Then Baba, placing his hand on his breast, assured him that certainly Vittal would appear, but that the devotee must be earnest and devout. The Dangapuri of Thakurnath, the Panthari of Vittal, the Dwaraka of Ranchor is the Shirdi. One need not go far out to see Dwaraka. Will Vittal come here from some outside place? He is here. Only when the devotee is bursting with love and devotion, Vittal will manifest himself here at Shirdi. After the Sapta was over, Vittal did manifest himself in the following manner. Kaka Sahib Dikshit was as usual sitting in meditation after a bath, and he saw Vittal in a vision. When he went at noon for Baba's darshana, Baba asked him point blank, "Did Vittal Patel came? Did you see him? He is very truant fellow. Catch him firmly, otherwise he will escape if you be a little inattentive." This happened in the morning, and at noon there was another Vittal Darshana. One hawker from outside came there for selling 25 to 30 pictures of Vithoba. This picture exactly tallied with the figure that appeared in Kaka Sahib's vision. On seeing this and remembering Baba's works, Kaka Sahib Dikshit was much surprised and delighted. He bought one picture of Vithoba and placed it in his shrine for worship. Bhagavant Rao Ksirsagar's story. How fond was Baba for Vittal worship was illustrated in Bhagavant Rao's Ksirsagar story. The father of Bhagavant Rao was a devotee of Vithoba and used to make various annual trips to Pantharpur. He also had an image of Vithoba at home which he worshipped. After his death, the son stopped everything, the worry, the worship and Shraddha ceremony, etc. When Bhagwan Rao came to Shirdi, Baba, on remembering his father, at once said, "His father was my friend, so I dragged him, the son, here. He never offered Naivedya, offering of food, and so he starved Vital and me. So I brought him here. I shall remonstrate him now and set him to worship." Das Ganu's bath in Prayag. The Hindus think that a bath in the holy tirth of Prayag, there where the Ganga and Yamuna meet, is very meritorious and thousands of pilgrims go there at periodical times to have the sacred bath there. Once Das Ganu thought that he should go to Prayag for a bath and came to Baba to get his permission for doing so. Baba replied to him, "It is not necessary to go so long. Our Prayag is here, believe me, then wonder of wonders." When Das Ganu placed his head on Baba's feet, out came or flowed streams of Ganga Yamuna water from both the toes of Baba. Seeing this miracle, Das Ganu was overwhelmed with feelings of love and adoration and was full of tears. Inwardly, he felt inspired, and his speech burst forth into a song in praise of Baba and his Leelas. Immaculate Conception of Sai Baba and his first advent in Shirdi. Nobody knew the parents' birthplace or Sai Baba. Many enquiries were made, many questions were put to Baba and others regarding these items, but no satisfactory answer or information has yet been obtained. Practically, we know nothing about these matters. Namdev and Kabir were not born like ordinary mortals. They were found as infants in mother of pearls. Namdev being found on the bank Bhimrati river by Gonai and Kabir on the bank Bhagirathi river by Tamil. Similar was the case with Sai Baba. He first manifested himself as a young lad of 16 under a neem tree in Shirdi for the sake of bhaktas. Even then he seemed to be full of knowledge of Brahman. He had no desire for worldly objects even in dream. He kicked out Maya, and Mukti was serving at his feet. One old woman of Shirdi, the mother of Nana Chopdar, described him this young lad, fair, smart, and very handsome, was first seen under the neem tree, seated in an asan. The people of the village were wonder-struck to see such a young lad practicing hard penance, not minding heat and cold. By the day he associated with none, by night he was afraid of nobody. People were wondering and asking whence this young chap had turned up. His form and features were so beautiful that a mere look endeared him to all. He went to nobody's door, always sat near the neem tree. Outwardly he looked very young, but by his action he was really a great soul. He was the embodiment of dispassion and was an enigma to all. One day it so happened the god Ghandoba possessed the body of some devotee, and people began to ask him, Deva, you please inquire what blessed father's son is this lad, and hence did he come. God Khandoba asked them to bring a pickaxe and dig in a particular place. When it was dug, bricks were found underneath a flat stone. When the stone was removed, a corridor led to a stellar and cow mouth shaped structures. Wooden boats, necklaces were seen. Khandoba said this lad practiced penance here for 12 years. Then the people began to question the lad about this. He put them off the scent by telling them that it was his guru's place, his holy watan, and requested them to guard it well. The people then closed the corridor as before. As Ashwatha and Audamba trees were held sacred, Baba regarded this neem tree equally sacred and loved it most. Mahal Sapati and other Shirdi devotees regarded the site as the resting place, Samadhi Sthana of Baba's Guru, and prostrate before it. Three Vadas. The site with the neem tree and surrounding space was bought by Mr. Hari Vinayak Sate, and on this site a big building style Sate's Vada was erected. This Vada was the sole resting place for pilgrims who flocked there. A platform was built around the neem tree and lots with steps were constructed. Under the steps there was a niche facing south, and devotees sit on the platform facing north. It is believed that he who burns incense there on Thursday and Friday evening will by God's grace be happy. This Vada was old and dilapidated and wanted repairs. The necessary repairs, additions, and alterations have been made now by Sansthan. Then, after some years, another Vada, Dikshit's Vada, was constructed. Kaka Sahib Dikshit, solicitor of Bombay, had gone to England. He had injured his leg by an accident there. The injury could not be got rid of by any means. Nana Sahib Chandorkar advised him to try Sai Baba. So he saw Sai Baba in 1909 AD and requested him to cure rather the lameness of his mind than that of his leg. He was so much pleased with the darshana of Sai Baba that he decided to reside in Shirdi. So he built a vada for himself and other devotees. The foundation of this building was laid on 10/12/1910. On this day, two other important events took place. Mr. Dada Sahib Khabirde was given permission to return home, and the night aarti in Chavdi was commenced. The Vada was complete and was inhabited on the Ram Navami day in 1911 AD with due rites and formalities. Then another Vada or palatial mansion was put up by the famous millionaire Mr. Bhuti of Nagpur. Lots of money were spent on this building, but all the amount was well utilized as Sai Baba's body is resting in this Vada, which is now called the Samadhi Mandir. The site of this mandir had formerly a garden, which was watered and looked after by Sai Baba. Three Vadas thus sprang up where there was none formerly. Of these, Sateswada was most useful to all in the early days. The story of the garden attended to by Sai Baba with the help of Vaman Tatya, the temporary absence of Sai Baba from Shirdi and his coming again to Shirdi with the marriage party of Chand Patil, the company of Devidas, Janki Das and Gangagir, Baba's wrestling match with Muhammadan Tamboli, residence in Masjid, love of Mr. Dangale and other devotees and other incidents will be described in the next chapter. Bow to Sri Sai, peace be to all.